So we'll set this one back in here and call that a job well done. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, Tom Mods Things. Just going to start off by saying apologies for the lack of content recently. There's been some pretty monumentous changes in my life at the moment, as you can probably tell by the bags under my eyes. Recently became a dad, so obviously priorities and stuff have been totally sort of switched over into dad mode basically. So just been getting to grips with what that's like as a first time dad. So anyway, that's kind of that little bit of spiel over. Happy days, it's all sort of great. Everyone's doing really well, but what it does mean is obviously some of my video content from sort of now onwards really is going to be a little bit sort of chop and changey. So what you might find is that I'm wearing different outfits because I've filmed different days, because obviously that's the only time that I can kind of get away from sort of normal stuff to really push these projects along. That being said though, we are still on track for everything, so we are booked in already with the maxpower reunion show. Now that is happening at August this year, so we've got sort of 8 months now from now until when it's going to be exhibited at the show to get this car all up and running. Now I'll just go through kind of the stages where we're at with this at the moment, because then you can kind of see what we're pushing towards at the moment. Right guys, so I just thought I'd update you on where I am at the moment. So effectively what we are battling with is, which I showed on a previous episode, was this this track rod arm or tie rod, whatever you want to call it, going all the way across here. We had to lock the end off to be able to get all the suspension dropped out because it had completely seized up. What that means is we are currently unable to get the seized section out of the actual arm that goes all the way across. Now we didn't struggle with this side over here, as you can see, nice new one on here ready to go, but because we couldn't get it off, trying to work with it and work with what we've got at the moment was proving quite difficult. So what we are planning to do is, you see this whole block here, so this is what effectively connects back with that bit there to the power steering pump, and then the rod just above it, which is the bit that we've disconnected, is like the ram that effectively takes your steering input from there and then sort of creates that sort of movement. And so what we are looking at doing is we've removed the bolt, which is now taking it off the shaft, which is just up here. So now we are looking to remove this nut. Now this nut, unfortunately, because it's so seized on, was also spinning the bolt as well. So the reason why we've disconnected it all off is that we can effectively now spin this, see that, back and forward, which means that we can then get access to the head of the bolt that sits on the other side. So what we're going to try and do is clamp this up and see if we can undo both sides, and then we'll effectively be able to take this whole section out, which means that'll all come out. You can probably bang it in the vise and see if we can get it off. If not, it means that it gives us a much better chance of actually just replacing the whole thing anyway. So that's really good. This has taken me ages, and as you can see here with all the gunk all over it, a lot of penetrating fluid, because this area has seen a bit of action and is a bit sort of crusty. It's probably never ever come off in its life. So anyway, going to crack on and see if we can get this bolt off, and then we should be able to take this all out and be well on our way to getting this back on the ground with wheels on, ready to go. Right, there we go guys. After all of that fighting for weeks and weeks at the moment trying to get this stuff sorted, we've managed to pull the culprit out, which is this little bugger right on the end there. As you can see, we lopped it off and been trying to battle in with it, which is why it's all scratched up, but haven't been able to do it. Other side, not a problem, managed to get the new one on, so we'll whip this in a vise and see whether we can use a little bit more brute force to get right. We are giving up. There's absolutely no way that this thing's coming out here. I've got absolutely no idea what they've chucked in here, but we have blasted it, as you can see, with tons of heat, gripped it, vise, we've chucked an impact wrench on the end of it, tried to lever it with a huge breaker bar, and it's just absolutely going nowhere. So we've ordered another one of these bars, so that should be coming hopefully sort of in the next couple of days. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this, the rest of it that's all kind of free and loose, and we're just going to take it all apart, clean the whole lot up, copper grease all the threads and stuff, just to make sure that we're not going to have the same problem with this in the future. And then we'll whip that straight back on in the car, and then we can get all of the suspension struts on this side all back in, not on this side, on the other side, sorry. finished rebuilding all the suspension, doing all the brakes, so that is looking absolutely banging. I think you can agree with me on that. So that's both sides, front and rear as well, all fully rebuilt, job done, happy days. Engine bay, just been tidying up a few of the last little bits in there at the moment, but what I thought I'd quickly show you is there's something that I need to adjust with this door at the moment, and now that I've got the front fender back off again, sitting over here, it means that I can show you exactly kind of how this happens. So I think what's best is if I open this door quickly, I'll try and do it one-handed. So as you see this come out, oh, you'll see that, there we go, the door's actually dropped, as you can see here, so that's now sort of hitting, and as you can see with those two bits, not really lining up. So in essence what we need to do down here with kind of this stuff is there's this little kind of grub screw that's just here as I'm pointing at, that basically hinges the door up a little bit in its kind of final resting position. Or what I think's happened is where we've been opening closing, I've let it drop slightly, and it's caused the mechanism to shift around. So in essence what we need to do is we need to lift this door back up to its position, then we basically wind in that screw just there, and then what that'll do is basically adjust this door to get it to fit properly. So anyway, I thought I'd show you that that's what you need to do when you've got Lambo hinges. Alright, now to show you show you what we've done with this now. So if we basically open the door, as you can see, that now opens and swings, and then matches up with where it needs to be. See, where it needs to be, which means that when you click it, job done. Right, so as you can see at the moment, what we've got is we've got all the sort of front sort of support bars, the fenders and the front bumper kind of all just positioned on top of it, because what we've been doing is, you saw that we'd rebuilt all the suspension and brake systems. That is all complete. Now what we're looking at doing is where some of this cabling and stuff had just kind of been left, some of it's been spliced in with aftermarket stuff and yada yada yada. What we need to do is we just need to sort this out before the fenders finally go back on. We've also got some new struts for these Lambo door hinges. So if you remember, I don't think I've got one here. Oh yeah, here we go. So these were the previous ones that were kind of just bodged together. You can see that a sort of eyelet's been welded on the end, but no information about really what these are. So they've got kind of a massive ball joint on one end and sort of a normal sized screw and stuff on the other. So these are just really, I haven't been able to find anything that's similar to this. And then obviously on that end it's just slid in, it's not even threaded, even though the inside of that. So I don't know, who knows what the hell was going on with these. But what we have got, which we're going to try, is we've been doing some measurements and some strength bits and bobs, and we're going to try and see if we can get these, which are obviously substantially smaller but provide the same amount of force. So as you can see, we've already got one of the little ball joints in there. The screw kind of comes in up here where this one gets replaced. So what we're going to do is we're going to whip this into this, and then see whether this works properly. Right, then next on the list of things is we need to get the sort of new wheels and everything mounted up. I've ordered some spacers because we need to space them out ever so slightly because of the offset being a little bit incorrect. So then we can get that done. Then interior wise, we've got the two seats which I need to take out quickly and just whip them back in the Porsche just for sort of momentarily for a week, just to get a few bits sorted on that. Then those get mounted in, then the interior is kind of pretty much there, bar that we need to get a key fob that can work the door poppers, or I'm going to drill a small switch underneath this mirror. Haven't fully decided yet exactly which route, but we need to do something because at the moment you can't actually open it from the outside. And now that we've got windows in, windscreen in, obviously the only way to get access is actually through the boot, which still doesn't have a lock. Then we need rear lights, so we've got all these sort of in and connected. I need to now run wires up through the sort of the top of the tailgate in through the inside and then back down to the connection points down below. We've got some new connectors over here, so we're just going to splice it in with totally new connectors to get that sorted. Then same again, we need to put a lock on the back of this. There's currently no lock, so this is just free to open up, but we need something proper, I don't know, something on this rear end to allow us to click something and then the boot open up, because that isn't the case. And then really that from a mechanical point of view, apart from filling up the gearbox oil, because as you saw that went all over the floor, we're pretty ready to go. and then that will get us to the point where we can send it off for an MOT and see if anything comes back. And yeah, so that will get us to the MOT point, and then I see that kind of happening hopefully within the next sort of couple months. Then that gives us then is 6 months worth of time to finish up the body kit, get it wrapped. So at the moment what I'm going to start to do is put together a little list of visuals to kind of get you guys to decide what colour you want it to be, or graphics, or the sort of exciting bit really, because then it gives enough time for me to have a chat with Andy to see how we're going to wrap this thing and whether or not he wants it, say windows in, windows out, that sort of thing. So we can decide then. But yeah, really exciting. It's coming along, and this reunion show is going to be absolutely epic, to be fair, because there's some serious cars that are now coming out, even more than last year, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, so anyway, so what we're doing today really quickly is I'm just, you saw the last episode where I was trying to do the brakes on the Porsche and had Eurocar parts sent the wrong discs. So we sent those back, got a refund, and then we actually went to MTech, which is the same company that did the brakes on this Peugeot as well. Quite like the look of them, and they were cheap, a lot cheaper than Euros anyway. So we've bought a set of those. They look like they're correct, so we're going to hopefully get the wheels off, get the new discs on, job done. Then unfortunately yesterday my door hinge, the sort of exterior door handle doesn't work anymore. That's really weird. So on the car, I was just driving home and I heard a bit of a pop, and I was like, that's a bit of a strange sound. I'll check around the car just to make sure nothing's sort of, I don't know, fallen off or someone's not shut something at it, I know. And I went round to the passenger side to open it up to have a look, and the exterior handle doesn't work. The interior one does, but the exterior one doesn't. So it's something's become disconnected, probably with the vibrations in the exhaust, I don't know, or the weather being so sort of cold at the moment. But anyway, so I've got to try and sort that out, because that needs doing. And then I've relocated the washer bottle. So the washer bottle usually sits like this in the wheel well, basically. So what I've done is we've removed this whole thing, because effectively, as you can see here, it was starting to interfere in certain situations with the tyres, because of the wide body kit and the crazy offset. So what we've done is we've totally removed this, and then we've put in a small sort of rectangular one in the front, so still kind of in the same relative location. Yeah, reused all the pipes, reused the motor, literally everything that came out of this one here, and then I've put in the ones that came with it in there anyway, which is why they look like there's a pump still in there, but reused everything, all the same connectors, the lot, and just chucked it into a little mounted washer fluid bottle in the front instead, which I thought was a pretty good solution really to that. And it means that now there's no worries about washer fluid suddenly dumping itself all over the floor, which is what kind of made me realise that was the case. Right, there we go, new discs on. What we did have, which is a typical problem that ends up happening with these, is the little set screws that hold the disc in place. One of them basically wasn't going to come out, so basically what we did is we've drilled out to take the cancelling head, and then that leaves you kind of a nice centered hole, so you can drill then all the way through and then just re-tap it with some tap and die bits. So we've got one missing at the moment. That'll be absolutely fine, just to have one in, and then we'll buy a new one and then replace it. But yeah, job done. This is looking nice and clean and stuff. Obviously did the pads the other day as well, so now all the brakes are all sorted front and back, ready for action. Right, excuse how filthy it is, but boom, that is brake disc fully complete on both sides. So what we've also moved on to is original seats now back in the car. These are so easy to do now. It's literally just 4 bolts, basically one there, one there, one there, one there. Slide the seat forward, do the rear one, slide it back, do the front ones. The whole thing comes out, and you just disconnect the airbag and the sort of seatbelt retention and everything underneath. So that's all done. Then, as you can see there, the remnants, what we've done is we've added in a third brake light all the way across the top here, because as we can see with the rear wing as it is at the moment, the current third brake light you can't see from the rear, so just for sort of MOT purposes and stuff, put one across the top so you can definitely see it. So now we're moving on to an issue that came up the other day. So basically, as I was driving, I heard a little bit of a pop, which was a bit weird from the inside, so I had to sort of look around the car to see whether or not it was anything that was kind of had hit the car or had fallen off. But as you can see from the start of what I've been doing, effectively the problem that we've come across is that the exterior door handle doesn't work. So it's still got the spring and everything, but you can just hear it's sort of rattling around, and the interior door handle works absolutely fine. So what I think happened is there's a little threaded bar on the exterior door handle and like a little sleeve that locks it off, and what I think's happened is because of that stupid thing, the vibrations have effectively shifted the little retention nut to basically come off. Hopefully it's not snapped. If that is the case and it's snapped, then we've got a little bit of a bigger problem. But anyway, I need to get this sorted because, as I say, booked in for its MOT, and it needs to obviously get access from the exterior door handle. So basically what we are doing is, first you start with removing this handle here. So you pry it from one end and it just pops out. That gives you access to a bolt that's in there and a bolt that's in there. Now the bit that we've been using is this one for those, so it's a T30. And then what you do is you take those two out, then you've got one that's behind here. Now this is behind this little bit of trim, so we've got these carbon fibre ones, which are really quite smart. But what you end up doing is, as you can see here, there's these two clips that clip into this bottom section here, and then there's a little piece just there, as you can see it, like a little tab that slides in there. So in essence what you do is you pop out the bottom and then you slide it upwards, and that gives you access to then all of this. So if you ever needed to change your wing mirrors or anything like that, that is the way you do it. But it also gives you access to this bolt here, which you need for the door card. And then finally there's a little cap that sits over here. I've removed the bolt already, but effectively you just pop that cap out, that leaves you with the bolt. You undo that bolt, and then in essence this should now be free to come away. Then final thing is, there's one behind this door handle, so we've got these 3D printed door pulls. So in essence we'll go like that, we'll take out the bolt, which we've done already, and then we can slide that off, as you see. And then what that does is leave you access to this. If we pry this open, then there is another Torx bit behind there using the same one as the other big one. Now the little bolt that goes behind to hold the door handle on is this one, which is a T20. So T30 and T20 are the two Torx bits that you need. So yeah, we'll whip this off and we'll get the door card off now. Right, so with all of that, you literally just pry the whole thing off, and then what you've got are these like little clip features. So effectively all the way around here are these kind of little pips, so you just need to pull these out. These are sort of notoriously easy to snap, so it's worthwhile maybe having some spares. I don't, so anyway, luckily I've not snapped any, which is a good thing. But then you're left with this. So this is now the door card off the car. You've got a couple of connection points that you need to undo if you want to remove this completely. So one would be taking this, which is the door mechanism, to be sort of to take it out, which is, as you can see, just in here. So this is then done by a couple of Torx bits, one here and I think just one over here. Then that whole thing comes off of the door card. And the other ones to do are the connection points for kind of all the window regulator, the airbag, which is this one up here, and some of the connections to some of the speakers potentially as well. It looks like there's really just this main one here, and then this clip coming down here. So we undo those two, and then this whole thing should come off, which will make it a lot easier. While we're in here, what we're going to do as well is we're going to replace this speaker, because this speaker's currently really rattly. So we've got some like cheap JVC ones, so we're going to try and remove this one, replace it with that other one. We'll probably have to Dremel out some area around here to get the speaker to fit, and then find some mounting holes for it, but that should be a good thing. So two things with one job. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with that, get this door card off, and then what we do is we then start to take off this sort of backing piece. So I'll take the airbag out, then we'll undo all these bolts and then slide all this forwards to effectively get access to what we need, which is right behind here. Hi guys, here we go. So I have found the culprit. So I'm just underneath the door panel at the moment, because I've just prized it off, as you can see, on my arse. So you see that little white bit in there. So that little white bit, and I'll see if I can just quickly zoom in so you can get a better look, get the light on it. Alright, there we go. Right, okay, so as you can see there, just below it, that little threaded bar is supposed to be in that little white piece, and then there's a little black bit that you can just see there on the left hand side of it that's supposed to slide over the top of it. So in essence what we've got here is exactly what I was expecting it to be. So basically the door handle isn't connected to the mechanism at the moment, so what it should be in theory, and now this is a small gap and I've got really friggin' fat hands to try and get up in here, but effectively what we've got to try and do is get that little bar back onto that little white peg and then slide the retaining piece over the top of it. I'm just going to double check that that retaining piece is still intact and stuff, because it's a bit weird really that it's still all the way back, but it might just be one of those things where, as I say, the resonance of the exhaust pipes just caused it to wind back a little bit. But yeah, in essence that is the problem. So anyway, we've just got to try and get that repaired, and then this should be ready to go. Happy days DIY. Right, just to keep you updated, do a bit of zoom in. Alright, so hopefully, there you go. So you can just make out, oh, just there. See if we can get in a bit further, get a bit of light on it. Alright, there you go. See that white thing now? Now basically what that now has is the black peg pushed over to the right hand side, and then the little bar, you can just see the little end of it in there. But in essence what that means is if I'm now grabbing the door handle, it should, there we go, see that whole mechanism moving now. So in essence that is jobbed and absolutely fixed. Right, here we go guys, moment of truth. Look at that, epic, totally fixed, which is awesome. Just got to adjust this guy to get him sitting correctly again, but no, job well done. What we also did is, as I say, replace the speaker in here, and actually funny enough, since replacing this speaker, I've just tried it, and we also have our Sound Plus speakers at the back working again. So it must have been something to do with this speaker was basically causing the system to have a bit of a hissy fit and not play the ones in the back, so the sound quality is a hell of a lot better. I'll show you the one that I replaced it with quickly now. Right, so this is the stuff that we replaced it with. This is the OEM speaker. It's kind of just a standard ASK because I've got the Sound Plus on here. So yeah, these little guys on that, little capacitor and stuff. Nothing's blown as such, but it was just rattling a lot at sort of low volume. So anyway, bin this one off, and then what we've replaced it with, and I'll show you the box first before I show you the speaker. Replaced it with one of these, really cheap off of eBay, but actually produce quite a good sound, and they're perfect size wise. So in essence they look like this little guy, and then what you end up doing is you cut off like two of the opposing tabs to each other, because actually this, as you can see here, is only fixed by there and there. So you cut those two tabs off, and then all I did was file down these square edges as well. So as you can see here, it's got squared off slightly. So what that was doing was affecting it being able to slot straight into the hole, because it is like quite a tight little round. And so what we did is we just filed off these edges here and then sort of laid it in with a small spacer to basically stop the cone from hitting the front surface, much like they've done here with a little bit of foam and this plastic shield. And yeah, job done with that. So anyway, so we've got a spare one here because we'll do the other side at some point, but we're not going to do that today because we've got kind of everything that we needed to do done. Right, and that's it guys. A few days later, car passed its MOT, brilliant. So everything's all back to normal with Porsche, which is great. So now we can get back to cracking on with this and getting through those bits that I sort of mentioned at the start of the video that we'd be starting to do. So yeah, cheers all for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. See you later.